So I wonder how much things that don't yet exist and can exist is in the space of algorithms, in the space of recommender systems. So in the space of how the feed is generated. So we kind of talk about the actual elements of the content. That's what we've been talking, the difference between photos, between short videos, longer videos. I wonder how much disruption is possible in the way the algorithms work. Because a lot of the criticism towards social media is in the way the algorithms work currently. And it feels like, first of all, talking about product market fit, there's certainly a hunger for social media algorithms that do something different. I don't think everyone's like complaining, this is not doing, this is hurting me and this is hurting society. But I keep doing it because I'm addicted to it. And they say, we want something different, but we don't know what. It feels like just different. It feels like there's a hunger for that, but that's in the space of algorithms. I wonder if it's possible to disrupt in that space.
Absolutely. I have this thesis that the worst part about social networks is that they're is the people. It's a line that sounds funny, right? Because like that's why you call it a social network. But what do social networks actually do for you? Like just think, like imagine you were an alien and you landed and someone says, "Hey, there's this site. It's a social network. We're not going to tell you what it is, but just what does it do?" And you had to explain it to them. It does two things. One is that people you know and have social ties with distribute updates through whether it's photos or videos about their lives so that you don't have to physically be with them, but you can keep in touch with them. That's one. That's like a big part of Instagram. That's a big part of Snap. It is not part of TikTok at all. So there's another big part, which is there's all this content out in the world that's entertaining, whether you want to watch it or you want to read it. And matchmaking between content that exists in the world and people that want that content turns out to be like a really big business, right?
Search and discovery,
Search and discovery. But my point is it could be video, it could be text, it could be websites, it could be, think back to like Dig, right? Or Stumble Upon or, right?
Nice. Yeah.
But like, what did those do? Like they basically distributed interesting content to you, right? I think the most interesting part or the future of social networks is going to be making them less social because I think people are part of the root cause of the problem. So for instance, often in recommender systems, we talk about two stages. There's a candidate generation step, which is just like of our vast trove of stuff that you might want to see, what small subset should we pick for you? Okay. Typically that is grabbed from things your friends have shared. Right? Then there's a ranking step, which says, okay, now given these 100, 200 things, depends on the network, right? Let's like be really good about ranking them and generally rank the things up higher that get the most engagement, right? So what's the problem with that? Step one is we've limited everything you could possibly see to things that your friends have chosen to share. Or maybe not friends, but influencers. What things do people generally want to share? They want to share things that are going to get likes, that are going to show up broadly. So they tend to be more emotionally driven. They tend to be more risque or whatever. So why do we have this problem? It's because we show people things people have decided to share, and those things self-select to being the things that are most divisive. So how do you fix that? Well, what if you just imagine for a second that why do you have to grab things from things your friends have shared? Why not just like grab things? That's really fascinating to me. And that's something I've been thinking a lot about. And just like, why is it that when you log on to Twitter, you're just sitting there looking at things from accounts that you followed for whatever reason? And TikTok, I think, has done a wonderful job here, which is like you can literally be anyone. And if you produce something fascinating, it'll go viral. But like, you don't have to be someone that anyone knows. You don't have to have built up a giant following. You don't have to have paid for followers. You don't have to try to maintain those followers. You literally just have to produce something interesting. That is, I think, the future of social networking. That's the direction things will head. And I think what you'll find is it's far less about people manipulating distribution and far more about what is like, is this content good? And good is obviously a vague definition that we could spend hours on, but different networks, I think, will decide different value functions to decide what is good and what isn't good. And I think that's a fascinating direction.
So that's almost like creating an internet. I mean, that's what Google did for web pages. They did page rank search.
Yeah.
So it's discovery. You don't follow anybody on Google when you use a search engine. You just discover web pages. And so what TikTok does is saying, let's start from scratch. Let's like start a new internet and have people discover stuff on that new internet within a particular kind of pool of people.
Well, what's so fascinating about this is like the field of information retrieval. Like I always talked about, as I was studying this stuff, I would always use the word query and document. So I was like, why are they saying query and document? It's like they're literally like if you just stop thinking about query as like literally a search query, and a query could be a person. I mean, a lot of the way, I'm not going to claim to know how Instagram or Facebook machine learning works today, but if you want to find a match for a query, the query is actually the attributes of the person, their age, their gender, where they're from, maybe some kind of summarization of their interests, and that's a query, right? And that matches against documents. And by the way, documents don't have to be text; they can be videos. They're however long. I don't know what the limit is on TikTok these days. They keep changing it. My point is just you've got a query, which is someone in search of something that they want to match, and you've got the document, and it doesn't have to be text. It could be anything. And how do you match make? And that's one of these, like, I mean, I have spent a lot of time thinking about this, and I don't claim to have mastered it at all, but I think it's so fascinating about where that will go with new social networks.